This movement that's grown across the country, it's calling for serious change, including abolishing departments or redirecting funds for police. And in Detroit's last budget, $9 million went to the health department to cover things like social services. DPD got $300 million. So do you support defunding police?
So what I hear from all of my friends who are a part of this moment and are leading on the front lines is a need for greater investment in communities, a need for rebuilding and really leveling the playing field through better schools and better transportation and better access to healthcare. And those are things that I absolutely support. I think this moment in this country can't just be a moment. It really has to be the time for change. And that's precisely why I joined marchers last week. George Floyd's memory has got to, I know it hurts, it's visceral, and there's too many stories just like his. And too many people in our country live in fear of the police. What we need to do is have real reforms, yes, but it also needs to be accompanied by the kind of investment in communities that has for too long been shortchanged.
You mentioned marching last week. You've been advocating for social distancing during this pandemic. Your critics, however, are accusing you of not practicing what you preach when you marched in Detroit last week. So how do you respond to Michiganders who see a double standard?
You know, I have never told people they can't demonstrate, even when they were demonstrating against me. The only thing I said was just try to do it. Please do it responsibly. Wear a mask. Try to stay 6 feet apart, wash your hands, use hand sanitizer. When I marched the other day, we weren't always able to stay 6 feet apart, but we all were wearing masks, the vast majority of us. And I kept my mask on, and so did the Lieutenant Governor and Mayor Duggan and a lot of the other ecumenical leaders, rabbis and priests who marched with us and bishops. The fact of the matter is we did it as responsibly, as pursuant to all the CDC rules. We didn't shake hands, we didn't hug, we didn't high five like we usually do upon greeting. We took every effort to keep from spreading COVID-19 if any of us had it. And I think that's precisely how you demonstrate, how you raise your voice and do it safely in a global pandemic.
Governor, in the past few days, Republican state leaders have called for you to reverse your nursing home policy, allowing COVID positive and negative patients in the same building. Is this something you are considering?
So there hasn't been one nursing home that has taken a COVID-19 patient that they didn't think that they were prepared to care for. That's something that I think has gotten lost in some of the reporting, and that's why I wanted to make sure to share that with you. We have given nursing homes the ability to make that determination. We know that patients who are residents need a place to go upon being discharged, and so that was one way of doing it. I think we've learned a lot in the last 10 weeks. We're going to continue to work with the administration in nursing homes across Michigan. We know that older Michiganders are uniquely vulnerable and often have an additional condition that comes along with being an older person. And so it is really important that we continue to be nimble as we are learning best practices and make sure that we reflect those and lead here in Michigan. I think we've made great strides, but the novel nature of this virus means that we're always learning and we're always going to have to continue to evolve.
Bars and restaurants have started reopening and with 50% capacity requirements. People here in Detroit, they're also looking for when casinos will open their doors, and recommendations are 15% capacity for them when they do. So you have a say in this. When will we see casinos allowed to reopen? Why the difference in capacity, and who enforces those requirements, as we've already seen some packed patios, bars, and restaurants?
Mm-hmm. So, it's very important that business owners are observing the protocols that have been promulgated. And they've been created based on experts in a particular sector of our economy. So the Restaurant and Lodging Association has been at the table as we promulgated what our best practices and what really are doable. As we think about casinos, for instance, we know that they're scheduled to come online once we move the state into phase 5. We're getting close. I would anticipate that happening, I said, well, in advance of July 4th. So that means in the coming weeks, we're going to get there. It's going to be really important that they do it right, though. And they are governed by state agency that oversees their work. And so they'll be closely in partnership to make sure that we keep people safe as they re-engage. But as far as restaurants and businesses, the vast majority of them are licensed by the state. They're also rely on the public feeling that they're going to be safe when they go and patronize these businesses. And that's why it's really important. We all do our part. We all keep getting this right, because Michigan stands out as a leader in terms of how we've reacted in this crisis and the work that we've done. And we don't want this sacrifice to have been made in vain.
Language for a petition to recall you was approved to move forward. It needs 1 million signatures, I believe. Wanted to give you a chance to respond to those efforts and the merits of it.
You know what, this has been a trying time. I'm not surprised by some of these efforts. I think that just about every governor has had that happen to them at one point or another. I'm going to continue to pay attention to the science, make the next right decision, and re-engage our economy. And I'm not going to get distracted by some of the other political things that are going on to undermine my efforts.
Anything that I missed that you want to make sure that Detroit viewers hear?
I just want to make sure people don't just drop their guard. We are not done with COVID-19. A second wave is a very real possibility. Exponential growth can happen if we all just drop our guard and stop wearing masks and stop observing these best practices. We've made an incredible sacrifice to get us to this point. Let's not let it all be made in vain by dropping our guard now. So please keep doing your part.
Governor, appreciate the time. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Bye, Brian.